All right, let's talk about how companies can build skills that actually stick. We're going way beyond the usual training days here. We're diving into a complete system for creating success that's real and, more importantly, sustainable.
So let's kick things off with a question that I bet sounds frustratingly familiar. Companies pour billions, literally billions of dollars into training every year. But how much of that actually sticks? You know the feeling, right? Everyone's fired up after a workshop, and then by the next Monday, it's like it never happened. Well, this explainer is all about how to fix that for good.
The answer isn't another training program. It's about shifting our entire mindset to something called strategic capability building. Now, this isn't just about learning cool new stuff. It's a whole process of developing the exact skills and knowledge a company needs to win. And here's the absolute game changer. Every single thing you do is directly tied to improving performance and making the business stronger.
So how do we actually do this? Well, we're going to walk through a framework of 10 essential pillars. I want you to think of these as the complete blueprint. When you get all 10 of these working together, you create this incredibly powerful system that drives real, lasting growth. This is basically our roadmap for the next few minutes.
Now, we've broken these 10 pillars down into 3 groups to make it easier to digest. First up is Group 1, the foundation. You can think of these as the absolute must-haves, the non-negotiables. They provide the strategic direction and the why behind everything you're about to do.
The very first pillar is having a clear strategic purpose. What does that mean? It means no more random acts of training. Every single workshop, every course, every coaching session has to be directly tied to the company's biggest goals. Every dollar you spend on learning becomes a direct investment in moving the whole organization forward.
Next up, Pillar 2, leadership commitment. And let me be clear, this is so much more than just getting a signature on a budget. It means that building skills is a genuine priority, that it's funded properly, and that it's championed by the people at the very top. Honestly, without that active support, even the most amazing program is just destined to fail.
And the most critical piece of that commitment? It has to be modeled from the top. Leaders can't just talk about how important learning is, they have to be the most visible learners in the room. When everyone sees the execs actively taking part, it sends this powerful message through the whole company that, yeah, development really matters here.
The final pillar of our foundation is stakeholder involvement. This is all about co-creation. You see, the best capability programs aren't dreamed up in some isolated boardroom. They're built with the people from all across the organization. When you bring in all those different perspectives, you make sure the training is actually relevant to the real work being done, and you build the buy-in you need for it to succeed.
Okay, so we've laid our foundation. It's solid. Now let's move on to our second group. This is Group 2, the engine. If the foundation was the why, these pillars are all about the how. This is the active machinery that actually makes development happen day in and day out.
Now, this engine has 4 key parts. First, you have to use adult learning principles. That means ditching boring lectures and focusing on hands-on, real-world application where people are solving actual problems. Second, you've got to drive continuous improvement. Learning isn't a one-time event, it's a constant cycle of doing, getting feedback, and refining. Third, you absolutely have to leverage technology. Using tools like AI to create personalized learning paths at scale is a game changer. And finally, you have to measure what matters. We're not just counting who showed up, we're tracking real business impact. We're asking what actually changed because of this.
So, we've got our why with the foundation and our how with the engine. But where does all this live? Well, that brings us to our final group, Group 3, the ecosystem. These are the pillars that create the right environment, the right conditions for new skills to not just survive, but to really thrive for the long haul.
The first part of that ecosystem is cultural integration. This is all about weaving learning and growth right into the company's DNA. It's when curiosity and improvement aren't just something you do in a class, it's just how we do things around here. It creates this incredible company-wide growth mindset.
Look, the world changes in a blink of an eye, and our development programs have to keep up. Pillar 9 is all about flexibility and adaptability. This means we have to design programs that aren't set in stone, but that can evolve in real time as markets shift, new tech emerges, and the needs of our people change.
And this comparison just makes the difference so clear, right? On one side, you have the old way, a fixed, one-time program with a curriculum that's probably already out of date. On the other side, the strategic approach is like a living thing. It's an evolving, ongoing process that is responsive and flexible by its very nature.
And that brings us to our 10th and final pillar, sustainability. Really, this is the ultimate goal of the whole thing. It's about building systems to make sure knowledge is retained, new skills become part of how we work, and we actively fight against that skill decay. This is what ensures that the investment we make in our people pays dividends for years to come.
Okay, I know we've covered a ton of ground with those 10 pillars. So now let's take a step back and put it all together on one slide so you can see how this whole powerful framework connects.
So here's the big idea, the main takeaway. Real strategic capability building only happens when all three of these groups work together perfectly. You absolutely need the foundation to give you your why. That's your purpose, your leadership, and your stakeholders. You need the engine to power the how, your modern learning processes and technology. And you need the ecosystem to create the where, the culture of flexibility and sustainability where all these new skills can actually take root and grow.
And that brings us to our final thought. As you look at this whole framework, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Which of these 10 pillars is your organization's greatest strength right now? And maybe more importantly, which one is its biggest blind spot? Because the answer to that question, well, that's the perfect place to start.